Hello everyone, welcome to our fourth and last video tutorial for our Skywars project. For today's activity, we're going to modify our Skywars game to include some level of progression. We're going to add a game challenger asteroid sprite that appears after some time, creates clones of itself, as well as deduct the player health when in contact with the player. Okay, and we're also going to make the game not so scary. We're going to add another reward sprite. This is a reward time sprite that appears after some time and adds time to the game when in contact with the player sprite. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to start with the challenger sprite first, the asteroid sprite. So let me just upload a template of it that I already have in my computer. You can choose to do this from scratch as well. It's entirely up to you. Okay, now this is how our asteroid sprite will look like. Very cute little asteroid sprite. Under costumes, you will see that our asteroid sprite has 3 different costumes. This is to allow it to hover about in space and rotate, so it has a bit more of a realistic animation effect. So that means we have to do a bit of costume change as well. Okay, so with that, let's get started with the code. When green flag is clicked, I am going to set the size of my asteroid to about maybe 10%. We don't want it to be too big, if not it will be a real obstruction. Okay, and then at the start, I'm going to hide it first because this is our challenger sprite. It will only appear after some time when the game has progressed. Okay, now this is the wait time that I'm going to set. I'm going to give it about 10 seconds into the game. Since we have about 30 seconds given, that's still quite a fair bit of time of waiting. Okay, now forever, this is what I want to do. I'm going to create clones of my asteroid. Okay, but before that, I'm going to set a wait time first. 5 seconds between each clone creation. Okay, now let's move on to the clone sprite. Now when my asteroid sprite starts as a clone, this is what I want it to do. Firstly, it's going to show itself. Alright, and then forever, I am going to make it move around the screen randomly. Okay, but this is going to go slow. So I'm going to use a glide block. Glide 5 seconds to a random position. If it touches the edge of the game screen, I'm going to make my asteroid bounce off the edge. Okay, now I'm going to add one more code for the costume change. So when I start as a clone, all my clone sprite will forever change to the next costume, and it will give a bit of a buffer wait time before it switches to the next. Okay, let's set about 1 second. Okay, now let's add the interaction. Our asteroid sprite is a challenger sprite, so it's going to deduct the player health, but it's not going to actively shoot and deduct the player health. It has to wait for the player to come into contact with it first. So for this, we're going to use a touch chain reaction. So this is how I'm going to code it. When I start as a clone, so this applies to all the clone asteroids. When I start as a clone, forever, if I am touching the player sprite, I am going to play a little sound effect first. Okay, so let's go to sounds. We're going to create a sound for this. We're going to make a very dramatic boom sound. Okay, so in your sound library, there is a boom cloud. Yeah, sounds good. Let's use this. Okay, go back to our code. So we're going to start the sound boom cloud here. Okay, for a very dramatic effect of a crash. Okay, asteroid crash. And then once the boom sound has started, we will immediately change our player health. Okay, we'll deduct our player health. This is the interaction here by -3. So one more deduction over the +2 points that our health pack gives us. Okay, so this is really a bigger challenge. Okay, and then once done, of course, we don't want the asteroid to stay there forever. We're going to delete the asteroid clone. Okay, so everyone, this is our completed asteroid code. Let's test this out before we add the last sprite. Okay, so the game goes as per normal. Asteroid sprite will only appear after 10 seconds and start picking its clones after 5. There it is, our dramatic effect, and immediately my health points deduct by 2. Let me show you what happens if you try to really avoid the asteroid and accidentally bump into it. The reason why the challenges right is because bumping into a few of them does deduct your health point a lot. Okay, but now it's game over anyway. We're going to give our player sprite a bit of a chance here, so that's why we're going to create another reward sprite today that's a bit kinder by providing a time allowance. Okay, so let's get started with that. I'm going to upload a template of a time sprite that I already have on my computer. You can also choose to create this time sprite from scratch on your own. Okay, so the time sprite looks like a little hourglass. Let me just show it to you. Okay, there's no costume change animation expected. It's just going to appear as such. Now let's get started with the coding. When green flag is clicked, I'm going to set a size first. So set the size of my hourglass to 20%, and then I am going to hide it. Okay, so this reward sprite, same thing, it will only appear after some time has progressed or after the game has progressed to some time. Okay, then I'm going to make this hourglass wait. Okay, so same as the asteroid, it's going to wait about 10 seconds before it finally appears. For our hourglass, we don't want it to create clones. We don't want it to be so easy for you to win the game. We're going to follow the health pack, whereby it will appear for some time, go to a random position, wait for some time before it disappears and choose another spot. Okay, so for this, let's add a wait code. Wait. Okay, we're going to make Scratch pick a random time for us between 5 to 8 seconds before we make our hourglass move to a random position and then show itself. Okay, now we're going to do something special here. When the timer shows itself, we want it to start beeping. Tick, 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 tick. Okay, so let's add a sound effect here. Sound. Choose a sound from the sprite library. Sorry, the sound library. Okay, in Scratch, there happens to be a clock ticking sound. Okay, sounds really exciting. Let's add this in. Alright, so immediately when my timer sprite appears, it should start the sound of a clock ticking. Okay, now we're going to create the interaction code for our time sprite and the time variable. Okay, so when green flag is clicked, forever, okay, if our time sprite senses that the player sprite has touched it, then what's going to happen is that first it's going to hide itself, okay, and then it's going to change our time. It's going to add more time for our game. So we're going to change time by 5 seconds. So we're going to be a bit more generous here because the game is getting a lot more challenging. And then, of course, we want to stop our beeping timer sound. So let's go to the sound panel and we're going to pick out a stop all sounds code and pop it here. Okay, so just to check through our code one last time before we actually start. Alright. Okay, good. Let's begin the challenge. I'm going to do a full screen. Now let's see how long we can last in this game. Oh dear, asteroid. So that's our time variable. So can you hear the tick tick not so easy after all, but you can see that our gameplay has definitely increased in terms of progression and time, and it's a lot more exciting and fun. So I do hope you have enjoyed all the tutorials for this Skywars. Go ahead and have fun with your project. See what else you can do to make it even better. Okay, see you.